The reason you can't focus anymore has almost nothing to do with your attention span. Think about this. You ever open your phone to check one thing? Maybe a text, maybe the time, and then 45 minutes later, you're watching a video about how they make bowling balls, and you genuinely don't know how you got there? And it's not even that the bowling ball video was that interesting. It's that everything around it was pulling you in 17 directions at once. Thumbnails screaming at you, autoplay rolling, notifications sliding in from the top. Your eyes just kept moving and your brain never got a second to breathe. That feeling, that fog you walk away with where you feel like you consumed a ton of content but remember absolutely none of it, that's not a you problem. That's something way bigger. And there's a specific reason why it's gotten so much worse in the last few years that honestly kind of blew my mind when I finally understood it. So, we'll get there. Here's the thing most people don't realize. Visual overload isn't about seeing too much stuff. It's about your brain being forced to make too many micro decisions too fast. Every single thing on your screen is competing for one resource, and that resource is your visual attention. Your eyes can only focus on one spot at a time, literally one. But modern interfaces, feeds, apps, platforms are designed to put 15 things in your peripheral vision that all feel equally urgent. So your brain is sitting there running triage constantly. What's important? What do I look at next? Is that notification relevant? Should I read that headline? And each one of those tiny little assessments costs you a small amount of cognitive energy. Not a lot individually. Almost nothing. But stack a few hundred of those in 10 minutes and bro, you are cooked. Your brain didn't do any real thinking. It just spent all its fuel sorting through visual noise. That's why you put your phone down feeling exhausted, but also like you didn't actually do anything. Because you didn't. Your brain was just playing goalie the entire time. My buddy said something a while back that stuck with me. He said, "I read for an hour on my Kindle and felt fine, but I scrolled Twitter for 20 minutes and felt like I needed a nap." Same eyes, same amount of reading, probably, completely different experience. And that's because one of those environments is visually calm, and the other one is a war zone for your eyeballs. Now, here's where it actually gets a little darker than you'd expect. The real depth of this problem isn't just that there's a lot to look at. It's that the things you're looking at are specifically engineered to be visually aggressive. This is what separates today's version of information overload from anything that existed before. It's not accidental. There are entire teams of designers whose literal job is to make sure your eyes can't rest. Think about the colors. Every app, every platform. They use high-contrast saturated colors in very specific places. The red notification badge isn't red by accident. That color triggers a low-level urgency response in your visual cortex before your conscious mind even processes what it is. You're reacting to it before you decide to react to it. Thumbnails on YouTube? And yeah, I see the irony here, have gotten more extreme over the years. Because the ones with the biggest faces, the brightest backgrounds, the most text, those are the ones that win clicks. So every creator slowly ratchets up the visual intensity because the algorithm rewards it. And that means your feed gets louder and louder over time. Not louder in sound, louder in visual noise. Every image is screaming. And remember that thing I said earlier about why this has gotten so much worse recently? This is it. It's not that there's more content. There's always been a lot of content. It's that the visual design of content has entered an arms race. Everyone is trying to outshout everyone else on your screen, and your brain is stuck in the middle of that arms race with the same hardware it's had for 200,000 years. Your visual processing system evolved to notice a berry on a bush or a predator in tall grass. Now it's processing 400 uniquely designed visual stimuli before lunch on a Tuesday. Real quick before I get into the part that genuinely changed how I think about this, if this is hitting different and you're sitting there going, I never thought about it like that, just drop a like. Honestly, it helps more than you'd think. And if you want more stuff like this where I break down things you feel but never had words for, subscribe. That's it. No bell, no notification squad. Just subscribe if you're into it. Cool. So here's the part that really gets me. You'd think the solution to visual overload would be to just show people less stuff, right? Simpler screens, fewer options, more white space? And some apps have tried that. But here's what's counterintuitive. When researchers actually studied this, they found that visual overload isn't just about quantity, it's about unpredictability. Your brain handles a lot of visual information just fine when it knows what to expect. Think about driving. You're processing a ridiculous amount of visual data when you drive. Way more than scrolling a feed. Cars, signs, pedestrians, lane markers, mirrors, all of it. But it doesn't fry you the same way, because the visual environment is mostly predictable. The road looks like a road. Signs are where signs usually are. Your brain builds a model and just watches for exceptions. Feeds are the opposite. Every single swipe is a completely new visual layout. New colors, new image, new text placement, new face. Your brain can't build a model because there is no pattern. So it never relaxes. It never goes into that efficient background processing mode. It stays in active scanning mode permanently. That's the exhausting part. It's not that you're seeing too much. It's that nothing you see is expected. So your brain treats every single frame like new territory it needs to evaluate from scratch. Imagine if every time you turned a corner while driving, the road changed into a completely different landscape. Mountains, then a city, then a beach, then a parking garage. You'd be wrecked in 15 minutes. That's your brain on an infinite scroll feed. And that right there kind of reframes this whole thing in a way I think is worth sitting with. We keep talking about visual overload like it's an amount problem. Too many tabs, too many apps, too many notifications, and yeah, that's part of it. But the deeper thing, the thing that actually explains why it feels the way it feels, is that your visual world has become fundamentally unpredictable. Your brain is one of the most powerful pattern recognition systems on the planet, and we've built digital environments where patterns basically don't exist. Every scroll is a surprise. Every screen is a new puzzle, and your brain keeps trying to find the pattern anyway. It keeps scanning, keeps sorting, keeps evaluating, waiting for things to settle into something familiar. But they never do, so it never stops. That's not an attention span problem. That's a pattern recognition system running on a treadmill with no off switch. And once you see it that way, that foggy, drained, what did I even just look at feeling makes a whole lot more sense.